All right, let's tackle the big one, artificial intelligence and your career. With AI moving at a mind bending pace, it really feels like everyone is asking the exact same question.
And that question is, will my job even exist in 10 years? I mean, it's a thought that can definitely keep you up at night, and honestly, for pretty good reason. That anxiety, it's real, and it's being fueled by some absolutely staggering numbers that are all over the headlines.
And I'm talking about numbers like this one. A major report from Goldman Sachs estimates that AI could replace the equivalent of 300 million full-time jobs. To put that in perspective, that's like a quarter of all the work tasks in the US and Europe gone, potentially automated. It's a huge, disruptive number that seems to confirm all our worst fears.
But what if we're all hyper-focused on the wrong thing? What if the question we should be asking isn't, will my job be replaced, but something more like, how is my job going to change? And, more importantly, what skills are about to become way, way more valuable? You see, just shifting your perspective like that, well, it changes everything.
And that leads us right into our first big idea, the human advantage. It's time to really dig into what separates us from the algorithms, at least for now.
So let's just lay it all out. When you look at AI's strengths, it's incredible. It can tear through massive data sets, spot patterns we'd never see, and automate tasks with mind-boggling speed. But then you look at the human column. We're talking strategic thinking, solving messy, complex problems, creativity, intuition. These aren't just tasks, they're our core capabilities. And one of the biggest ones is emotional intelligence, which is the secret sauce behind a really powerful skill. It's called strategic empathy. And look, this isn't just about feeling sorry for someone. This is the really sophisticated ability to truly understand what drives and what limits another person's point of view. You could use this to anticipate a competitor's next move, all without having to agree with them. That kind of nuance, that strategic understanding, that is uniquely human. And this is exactly why certain jobs are just less vulnerable to being automated away. Think about it. Surgeons need a human touch in a life-or-death moment. CEOs and managers, their whole job is leadership and motivation. That's strategic empathy right there in action. Lawyers, psychiatrists, HR managers, all of them rely on skills that are so far beyond just processing data. They need real human connection, negotiation, and a deep, deep understanding of people.
So if those are our unique strengths, here's the most important part. This isn't about humans versus machines. The future is about humans plus AI. And that brings us to our next section, which completely reframes this conversation from a competition into a collaboration. Welcome to the new creative economy.
We are moving into an incredible era of human-AI co-creation. So instead of seeing AI as this threat that's coming to replace us, we need to start seeing it as a powerful partner. A partner that can seriously boost our own abilities, especially when it comes to being creative and strategic.
And this isn't just some nice idea. We have the data to back it up. In one study, designers were asked to do tasks, once with their normal tools and then again with AI-assisted tools. And the results? They were just fascinating. First, their cognitive load, which is basically how hard their brain had to work, dropped significantly. Their creativity ratings went up, but you really got to pay attention to that column in the middle, ideation fluency.
Ideation fluency is just a fancy term for how many ideas a person could generate per minute. And just look at this chart. With AI's help, that number almost doubled, jumping from 2.1 ideas per minute to 3.8. You see, the AI wasn't doing the creative thinking for them. It was acting like a catalyst, helping them come up with more and better ideas faster than they ever could alone. A quote from the researchers who did this study just perfectly sums up this new partnership. They said the goal isn't to replace human designers, but to meaningfully augment their imagination and agency. In other words, this is all about giving creative people superpowers. Okay, that all sounds fantastic in theory, right? But how do you actually make it work for you? How do you future-proof your own career? Well, this next part is all about the practical, actionable steps you can take. The research really points to 4 key strategies. First, and this is a big one, we have to embrace lifelong learning. The world is changing so fast, and we have to adapt with it. Second, it's about doubling down on those uniquely human soft skills we talked about: communication, problem-solving, strategic empathy. Third, you got to be agile, ready to pivot and learn new things on the fly. And finally, this 4th strategy is, I think, the most powerful of all: combine your interests. Because think about it, the professional of the past was the siloed specialist. They had incredibly deep knowledge, but it was in one very narrow lane. And that actually makes them vulnerable to disruption. But the professional of the future, they're an interdisciplinary connector. They're someone who can bridge multiple fields, connect ideas that seem totally unrelated, and solve those messy, complex problems that cross different departments. That is where real innovation happens.
It's really that simple. The future belongs to the connectors, the people who can see the big picture and pull ideas together from different places to create something brand new. So let's bring all this home and put our future in focus. What does this all really mean? It means that, despite all the scary headlines, the most human parts of who we are actually becoming our biggest professional assets. So if you're going to remember anything from this, remember this. First, AI is a tool to augment us, not just to automate our jobs. Second, your human skills, creativity, empathy, strategic thinking, their stock is going way, way up. Third, the future is collaborative. It's human plus AI. And finally, building that interdisciplinary connector mindset is probably the single best investment you can make in your entire career. So I'll leave you with this one last thought to chew on. AI is getting better and better at automating the tasks that already exist. The real question for your career then is this: what are you learning to create? Because in the age of AI, creativity is the one skill that will always, always be in demand. Thanks for tuning in.